All right. Another episode of the Voice of Scientology. Thank you for joining in. Got a special guest today. Going to have an interesting conversation about where Scientology is at today and where it might be going in the future. As always, this is about the subject of Scientology, not the church.
I try to look far enough in the future to forecast, predict what might be, so as to not do too many things wrong. You must allow me some percentage. And as I look into the future, I see that we are handling here material of a potential control and command over mankind which must not be permitted at any time to become the monopoly or the tool of the few to the danger and disaster of the many.
Well, thank you, LRH. And you were right. The materials could fall into the hands of the unscrupulous few, and unfortunately they have. But we're going to talk about how we're doing with those materials out here away from the church and in the field. And we're going to hear from a very experienced Scientologist and highly trained Class 8 auditor, Jim Newell. So let's just get to it. Welcome, Jim. We got a special guest here, Class 8 Jim Newell. Jim, thank you for joining, and well, let me get you on here. There you go. Thank you for joining, Jim, and I'm very happy to talk to you.
Hey, I'm happy to talk to you too.
So I asked you to join because I want to talk to actual Scientologists. You know, not these ex-Scientologists, not former Scientologists, not Scientology haters. But people that are actually using the subject, and of course you as a Class 8, that goes without saying that you know the subject. But anyway, I appreciate you coming and spending some time here. What would you say is the top of your mind that people today should hear about a living, breathing, real, confirmed, honest-to-God Scientologist?
Okay, hey. Well, Scientology isn't a person or people, it is a technology. And when L. Ron Hubbard created and discovered and researched the data, his intention was pretty pure, and it was to basically reduce things down to common denominators. Use the logic series that he studied along the way, and basically the technology works extremely well. All these quote unquote internet experts, where they make the organization went south. Let's just be real honest about that.
That's a given.
Frankly, my opinion, and I am going to give opinions because this is how it is.
We're free.
I think the church was taken over by intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
They had vested interests. They could not allow a religion to free man as a spirit. They could not allow a religion to actually develop spiritual abilities. They couldn't allow it. They had to take it over. Yeah. So they did. It's about that friggin' simple. And then they obviously have studied some things called the third party, and the third party law is if you natter and you make things wrong, everybody doesn't like that person or group. Yeah. And that's what they did. they actually used their own technology against the tech.
You know, the other day I was thinking about how, another word for what you're talking about is the Scientology was hijacked.
Absolutely.
So, and I was just in my knowledge, there's probably more than three, but there's at least three instances of the technology being hijacked. And the first one was in the 50s when LRH had the group, I think it was in Phoenix, and they stole all of his lectures, and he got them back. I did an interview with an old timer from that era named Perry Chapdelaine. It's on the Scientolopedia site. But anyways, then that was in the 50s. And then in the 60s, you had all the COINTELPRO stuff, where the FBI was investigating Martin Luther King and all that stuff. So for sure they got agents inserted into Scientology back then. And then, of course, you got the Miscavige era. God knows his connections and, what's behind it, like you're talking about. So, and currently, I feel like the subject is being hijacked by all these ex-ESO. All they talk about is all the horribleness of their experiences, and they don't talk any about the subject itself. So it's been hijacked viciously. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah. Well, there was a fellow that left the CIA, and then he wrote a book, and then he outed a whole bunch of different people. And two of the people he outed in his little book was Miscavige is a CIA asset, and so was Heber Jens. So Heber's dead now. But the point is, these guys they worked for a three-letter agency.
Yeah.
I mean, for whatever reason, I guess you could say loyalty of America. A lot of people probably do that kind of stuff, but you got to be pretty stupid to not realize it's a very non-survival organization. And then you even look at like all of the remote viewing stuff, which I know you're quite associated with since you were a roommate of Pat Price. But I just recently saw a video called The Third Eye on YouTube or something like this.
Russell Targ, in fact, I interviewed him on my YouTube channel, and we talk about that video and that movie, Third Eye Spy.
Well, Targ was he was a Scientologist, wasn't he?
He was not.
Okay. Well,
and what's his name?
Price
and Price.
And the guy Puthoff.
That's who I said. Yeah.
Yeah. They both got up to OT, and or actually probably a number of them, but hey, they were all working for the three-letter agencies, and the one thing about that video, which I just recently watched, is they got very concerned, especially about Pat Price, that he was also getting counseling, and then they tried to mix it up. They were saying, and the church was listening on what they were saying, and they really couldn't have that. Pat Price would get some auditing here and there, but he was like one of the very best remote viewers.
Yeah, I tried to straighten him out, or Russell out on that point, because he was talking to the Guardian's office guys, and who knows what he was saying, but he was certainly no spy or no traitor. He's just a guy. He told me stuff that he probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, I've audited a minimum of 20,000 hours, probably 25,000 now. I've been auditing since the early 70s, consistently every year.
That's amazing. That's very.
And I remember in the church, this one woman says, I have a top secret clearance. I am afraid to get auditing because I'm afraid I might tell you something. I says, I used to have a security clearance when I was in the Air Force. I really don't care about your secrets in the military or in the government. We're interested in getting your case handled. And it absolutely handled the woman. But I said, I don't believe we can audit you because you have a high clearance, and the church was going. I said, we should probably check you out by the ethics, and I think they got rid of her. But
Yeah.
I could have, I could have easily audited her. As an auditor, these minor little secrets, quote unquote, that the government has is bullshit.
Yeah.
Most of it.
My guess is she was probably more worried about what she might have to reveal about things she'd done. You know?
I think she was a plant. They are pretty sneaky.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, your point was well taken about, there's been these infiltrations and connections, and of course, on the remote viewing thing, the enemies of America, like the Soviet at that time, they were very interested in mind control, and our own CIA, they wanted this information so they can control minds, which they've taken to a very high level of sophistication today, but that might be another, track that's too deep. It's too deep.
Well, it's been a long-term technology. The various organizations have been very interested in. There was a thing called the Lido machine in the 60s, and they could do voice-to-skull telepathic way back in the 60s.
What was
That's
that?
why the Lido machine.
Lido.
It was basically a high-frequency, 200 million plus cycle transmitter. Maybe it went up into the gigacycles. But the point is, they've been doing this.
Yeah.
Now, I'm also versed in the Captain Bill bridge, who was the right arm. He was the right arm of Hubbard. Okay, it was Mary Sue and then Captain Bill. So, and when you really start looking in hindsight, of course they had to get rid of Mary Sue. And they had to get rid of Captain Bill, and so he had this old Miscavige. He didn't do this alone. He had a clique of his little associates, which were all in treason, without any question.
Yeah.
And they really were. And
I can.
Captain Bill. Captain Bill said a very interesting. Actually, has a course, and the course is the telepathy course. He said how I ran into this is I'm just kind of being there, and all of a sudden I receive Igor, Agent 345. Can you hear me? And Romanov here. And he picked up Russian telepathic comm from spies. And so he actually developed a telepathy course. And
I don't know if you saw my interview with Russell Targ, but I told him how Pat had told me that he remote viewed this site, and he picked up he could hear, what they were saying. They were speaking in Russian. Okay, and
Yeah.
Russell Targ asked me, well, Pat Price didn't speak Russian. I said, no, but he could mimic, that made him a threat because it's one thing to be able to view things, but then to be able to hear conversations, yikes.
well, telepathy isn't necessarily English or Russian or Venusian or whatever. It's a communication with intention, and so it's like you can get the gist of it. But the point is, the Russians, for a long time, since the early 80s for sure, because that's when Captain Bill ran into this little phenomena, they've been doing telepathic comm. This is just one of their ways they go about giving messages. Pretty secure. And
nobody's gonna overhear you.
well, only if you know how to do telepathy.
Well, yeah.
So now you get into why they want to take out certain individuals, and even talking about this stuff is probably a little dangerous.
Well,
But hey, we've had a good life, right? So why worry about details?
I kind of figured that, because Pat, anyway, when I was connected with him, it was at the time when he was murdered. As far as I'm concerned, he was murdered. It was,
I agree.
So
who did it? It's an interesting question. Could have been a lot of different groups, but I suspect it was the CIA.
So that led me to, that was a lesson for me that this is like a hot topic, and I haven't really
Very hot.
I haven't wanted to pursue it until fairly recently, and I'm talking about it now. I'm an old guy, and well, I've had a good life, but I don't have anything that they would want to, that threatens them anyway. So.
Yeah, most Earth secrets are rather mundane and very not that important, anyways. And you know how you can tell there's like there's secrets. It's very fascinating because secrets have mass connected because they're withholding, and so on a spiritual level, it's actually pretty easy. And this was one of the primary techniques of the remote viewers on when they wanted to get data, like hidden data. They would chase the withhold, in a crazy way. So, hey, anyways, it's, hey.
Well, that's the kind of thing that people like. I'm trying to organize or orient these videos to what the average guy out there might like to know about real Scientology, not this Sea Org, fair game, disconnect.
Oh, God. Those guys are so amazingly, look what they did to me. I mean, give me a violin and say, oh, you are such a poor baby. I mean, yeah, the organization went nuts. Why did you stand there and take it? Yeah, dipshit.
That's my question.
I mean, come on already. It's like, yeah, okay, Hubbard wasn't perfect. Okay, big deal. He was a freaking genius.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. Captain Bill, a frigging genius. These guys weren't from this planet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've been a little critical, let's say, of those complainers, the whiners. You mean to tell me you were in the Sea Org for 30 years and then now you're complaining about it? You were why the hell didn't you leave?
Yeah. Well, I stayed in until 2013. And I forced my way to do their first golden age of training, part 1. Absolutely despised the action. It basically was a complete retrain on the BC with their golden age drills. It took me a lot of auditing to get rid of the bypass charge. I had to do the auditing solo to get rid of all that shit. Yeah. And I think it was very detrimental to my health. I think that's why so many people die in the church, is the stress it's so non-standard. Yeah. That the people just drop the body because of the bypass charge, the restimulated earlier charge. Yeah. This tech, and I think it was done on purpose by this Miscavige dipshit.
Well, you turn the tech upside down, and that's what's going to happen. People are going to get sick and die.
Yeah. So, but when you do, hey, bodies die anyways. I mean, they're meat. Okay. So oh, you're OT, so you're never going to die. No, I never said that. The meat. I am not my car. Somewhere along the line, my car runs good, and somewhere along the line it stops. It's time to get rid of it. Same with the damn body.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not have weird standards on this stuff.
Right.
You know, as a spiritual being, I kind of looking forward to what may. I'm probably one of the best shaped Thetans on the friggin' planet at this point in time, and I'm sure a lot of the detractors are going to say, "Oh, he's bragging. Hey, no, I'm very pleased with myself. I mean, what can I say? I did a good job. I had this opportunity to apply the technology, keep the ethics in, do it standardly, and I've attained amazing heights of spiritual awareness. That's all there is to it.
Boy, I'm there with you, brother. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's going to be quiet and peaceful. You know, not that I'm in a hurry because I like playing golf and doing the things here, but
yeah.
You know,
we got to get you up to 1 million subscribers.
Well, yeah, that'd be nice.
There you go.
Now you brought up the Captain Bill Bridge, so you know, might as well dive into it a little bit.
All right.
I've done it also, and I notice it seems to me the successful field practitioners, or many of them, have all done the Captain Bill Bridge, and you know, I have my theories of why that is, but why do you think that is, if that's the case?
Well, the major lower level aspect of the Captain Bill Bridge is that he spotted a key datum, and the datum actually came from the knots, the knot series, but without getting into everything, he noticed that it isn't just running a first dynamic case, you might say. There is a organizational aspect that has to be confronted, and let's just get into the whole track just a tiny little bit.
Okay.
Let's
go for it.
Okay, for many millennia, the spiritual universe has been attacked by groups of Thetans to make them less and smaller.
Right.
They're called implanters.
Yeah.
Implanters. Okay? And how real that is how real it is. But maybe it's a completely unreal. But these boys do not want spiritual freedom. They want you to think you're a frigging meat body that has no abilities, and you have you live 70 years or less, or 80 years or whatever, and they don't want you to have much consciousness and awareness, and they want you, and for whatever reason, this has been done for like a long time, a long time. Yeah. And that's another whole thing about a lot of the religions and other philosophies. Some religions think it just started 6,000 years ago. Some think 40,000 with Atlantis, the Anunnaki, maybe 100,000. It goes way back, way back. Okay, and so the point I'm making is there is an organizational aspect that has to be confronted and handled on a spiritual level. And that's the primary difference between, say, like knots in the church and upper level Ronzor.
Yeah, well said. And you skirted around the boundaries of talking about anything. Because I think we haven't ever talked about this, but I still respect the fact that somebody new should go up the standard bridge and
absolutely
just handle that charge, because we're handling charge, and you want to compartmentalize as much as possible. They said you don't want to be thinking about tomorrow when you're in session today. and you don't want to be thinking about bananas that next thing you're going to audit when you're auditing apples right now. So these people that like to spout all the confidential things, they're not doing themselves or anybody else any favors.
They really are not. And frankly, you can read about a lot of stuff. A lot of it isn't that accurate on the internet, by the way.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your communication, your recall grade in so that you can actually remember things, if you don't have your communication grade in, your problems grade, your bad deed, overts and withholds, get that out of the way, which is a lot of charge and change and able to confront new abilities and see how you used things in your life to make other people wrong and yourself right. If you don't have all that out of the way, you're never going to be able to run upper levels.
Yeah. Well, here's another theory. Another theory of mine. See what you say about it. But a lot of this yakking, and complaining about the church and how bad it all is and how crazy L. Ron Hubbard is and everything. These are that people that had been Scientologists or done some bridge. They're bypass cases. I mean, they didn't get it. They did not actually do a standard, bridge of giving all that charge off. If they had, they wouldn't be out there yakking the way they are, I don't think.
I agree with you totally. They're either bypass charge or they fully were terrible students. If they were, hey, if you can't get results as an auditor, you got misunderstoods, man. You have skipped gradients on how to apply the tech. I have never really had a failure with the technology. I've audited many hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And thousands of hours, and the tech works.
Yeah.
I can do miracles so fast, it's unbelievable. Like I can, from new people, and now with this technology of being able to do it like over the internet and stuff, I can do basic fundamental things, low-level things, totally change people's lives over a friggin' computer. It's amazing.
I was going to ask you that. So you do audit over the internet?
Yeah, I've done a lot. I've taken one guy from Eastern Europe, Bulgaria, and I think he saw one of our videos actually, and I should give you some commissions on that. Hey, but we got I took them all the way up to original OT7 over the internet.
Wow.
I couldn't do objectives on the guy, but he didn't need them. The Eastern European case is in much better shape than the American case.
Oh, I believe it. I
mean, I was amazed. But this guy, he, for all I know, he could have been Tesla or something.
Well, they're out there. I'm bringing a guy up who's close to finishing OT5 right now. I've done his whole bridge, except for when he came here to do TRs and objectives. But he's done the whole bridge from, intro auditing, grades, NED, bunch of other rundowns, OT1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5. He's almost finished. So they're out there. They're almost unicorns because, they haven't gotten all mucked up with all the online insanity and bought into all that. They just examined it for themselves and they want to go forward with it. So
those are very rare beings, done for the right reason. Whenever Hubbard. When Hubbard was doing his main research, getting attacked all the time, he always said in his tapes, we do the bridge with the intention for total freedom. That was the goal. And my goal is, I like that goal. Also truth. Now I mean, truth is such a buzzword, you know. The Christians have a truth, the Muslims have a truth, the Jews have a truth, the New Agers all have their truths, and everybody's got a truth. And you know, I came up with a great phrase, and one man's great truth is another man's belly laugh. And
I like that.
but
I'm gonna call you Rumi.
but the point is too, do any of these people have a definition for what truth is? Now, this is what Hubbard would do. He would define what truth is. Truth is the exact time, form, place, event, and consideration. And so he came up with these definitions. So what is this whole truth thing you guys are talking about? Except none of them have ever defined what the truth is, except Hubbard. Hubbard defined truth, and that which tells you right there, truth is an uncovering of the lie. So it's like and if you don't have to confront the lies, how are you ever going to? And truth is an expanding gradient thing that I think it's probably never ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done an awful lot of I've seen shit that most people would say you've actually seen stuff like this. I've experienced it. I've audited it, you know, and but it very high level stuff spiritually. Takes a tremendous ability to run the meter, to keep your TRs in, your ability to confront and ask questions and acknowledge, repeat as necessary.
Yeah.
If you don't have these basic skills, you'll never go anywhere in Scientology. And that's why you got so many critical dipshits out there that supposedly were auditors, that no longer think like OT3 is valid and stuff. I mean, I've talked with high level, and I guess she's made a lot of money off her auditing, but you don't even believe that there's OT3. And OT3 is actually it's actually a low level OT thing, to be honest. But everybody stops at that little story.
Yeah.
It's a little minor story because it involves Earth, but you know, it's kind of like it's not that frigging important. It's just one of many things in the big game, to be quite honest. But you know, this is where the big internet experts come in, and you know, obviously the psychologists, the psychiatrists, they don't want people to dig into this stuff. Of course, they're the third party, you know?
So, well, the situation is very difficult for somebody new coming along to the subject, mainly because
Yes.
we don't have those course rooms. I mean, if we had course rooms where we could put lots of people, they could learn TRs, they could learn, you know, how to audit, but that's what I think is really no substitute for that, you know, physical universe spaces where people can train and drill and coach and so anyway.
Yeah. I do a little bit of training, but most people just aren't up. Most people, you know, I mean, they need a lot of work. They've been miseducated in the education system. They're actually rather illiterate. It's tough. I just don't have the. Every now and then I may select a student or two, but you know, sometimes I don't know if it's the environment or it's the drugs or I don't know what it is, but the attention span and the purpose. I just don't see a lot of people with high level purpose. And so it is difficult. I agree.
Well, we'll I don't know if I told you, but a year ago I made a prediction that the church would implode and start to dismantle the Miscavige era by 2030. So that was 5 years ago, a year ago. So now it's down to 4 years from now.
Hmm.
I'm not a
It's a
big,
good postulate.
I'm not a Nostradamus or anything, but that's one prediction that I came
Yeah.
up with.
Well, what's some of your indicators that make you feel that way?
You know, I would jokingly call it reading the tea leaves, but there's things going on like dismantling of certain aspects of the nonprofit USAID, where a lot of money was being laundered to nonprofits. And I got a feeling the church was getting some of that USAID money. I don't know if it was or not, but that's one thing. There is an awakening going on. There's more and more. I get flooded with this stuff about not only aliens but spiritual stuff. People telepathy, and so there's a lot of. I think that a lot of charges have been lifted off the collective case by people like you and me and many others who have done the upper levels, are sort of dismantling some of the machinery that's holding all the suppression in place. So I think that's going to lift off enough where either the parishioners or internally Miscavige will be done with it and want to turn it over to somebody else. And I don't know exactly how it's going to unfold. That's my prediction.
Yeah. Well, I think your observations are probably accurate. It's possible they'll lose a case about, like, say, I mean, I never particularly saw like weird sex stuff regarding like children or any of that jazz in the organization, but they do work the kids an awful long time. So they probably get them on the labor laws.
Yeah.
And that probably will be a class action suit the church is going to lose. And when that happens, I mean, you don't work a 12-year-old 16 fucking hours a day. Okay. I mean, give me a break. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they, you know, I know Hubbard was a workaholic, and that in a way, I mean, he was on purpose trying to save a planet, blah, blah, blah. But frankly, he should have looked at his 8 dynamics a little bit bigger. There are 8, and it's okay to take some time off. And you find out that he used to, like the original Sea Org, used to have starboard and port. Every 1 week, port would take off and have a day or two off. And 1 week, starboard would take off, right and left.
Yeah.
And so they actually gave people time. But Miscavige, the dipshit, got rid of all that. And so these poor people are like friggin' slaves.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
It is too bad because it's been perverted. I never wanted to join the Sea Org and never had any interest in that. But I've talked to enough people, and I was around then to know enough people that it wasn't such a brutal, engramic experience. In fact, I have Howard Dickman, who did the Evangelium Gents biography for Scientolopedia. Anyway, he had a wonderful experience on the RPF even back in the 70s. So it's a mixed bag, and you have to pick. You can't throw a blanket thing that it was all evil, but it was turned evil. There's no doubt about it. With the Miscavige era. So.
Hey, it's like it's amazing how you can. The intention is to make operating thetans like a spiritual being, an infinite spiritual being that lives forever and able to do things on an ethical basis. Now that's basically my definition of OT, and that they can actually degrade that beautiful viewpoint to a slave culture in a way. I mean, it's like. When I left in 2013, 2014, I would see these poor old guys, working at the advanced organization at Flag, and they look so exhausted. I'd feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they just look like drudge. I mean, it was easier to drop the body, and that at least they'll have some time off now. I mean, that's that's probably why many of them die. You know, it's like they're too.
Diet too.
Well, they're in a way they're cowards and just saying, "I've had enough of this shit. I'm leaving." I instead of dying, I just told the ethics officer, "Stay off my lines. Don't come around my house anymore." And we left, and as soon as I sold my house, we left fucking Clearwater, and it was best move I ever made. I didn't even lose 1 month on auditing.
What?
I mean,
You said you left. That was in the mid '90s.
no, I left about 2014.
Oh, okay.
20. Yeah, I experienced their crazy thing on objectives called the survival rundown, where literally they would audit. Like, you know, it's okay to put some objectives in they're called control communication happiness processes.
Right.
But, you know, 20, maybe 30 hours, I mean, that's a good action for a Thetan to be in present time. But they would run this stuff for hundreds of hours on people.
Oh my God, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, everybody. And Miscavige would be thinking he's doing the perfect tech. You see, Miscavige was an overt product as an auditor. The guy doesn't know how to audit. He doesn't know how to CS, but he's got the power to do all this bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's like he's an idiot. He's a, I just call him a dip. He's a friggin' dipshit. I mean, but people should really take a look. In the 70s, the church was getting bigger and bigger, and yeah, the government comes in and attacks and all this jazz, but it was expanding really nicely. Miscavige gets on the line, and within like 10 years, it's all developed toward statistics. Instead of having the goal and the purpose of higher level spiritual freedom, it's statistics on we need big buildings. So they own most of downtown Clearwater, which is empty. It's like an empty shell except for some of the buildings. So they piss away literally hundreds of millions of dollars on buildings that are empty. I mean, come on, the Scientologists. I mean, what happened to you guys? Don't you have a gumption of I've had enough of this bullshit? I mean,
Yeah. Let's talk about for a minute the field.
yes.
That's the church, and we got the field. We got people like
Yes.
you and me, and there's quite a few others. I don't know exactly how many. Practitioners in the field. But I'd be interested in your assessment of, where's the field strong, where's the field weak, what do you think it needs? I know those are open-ended questions.
It needs more basics, and there's frankly the U.S. field. Hey, I take pride in being a standard class 8. I don't know how many other standard class 8s there are. Honest to God, it's a little bad. I know many of my friends have, dropped the bodies and left, but I honestly don't know on that. There's a lot of people that have their own little shtick, you might say, their own little spin, and I guess they're pro-Scientologists. But if I ask them a couple definitions, I bet they couldn't answer. I don't even know. I mean, I can ask 2 or 3 questions and tell if the guy's a real class 6.
Here's my test for somebody if they know Scientology. What do you do if you got to read on Section A of a 53?
Yeah, well, there's your rundown. Yeah. So you
the average guy or people that talk Scientology couldn't do what you just did there, and that is answer the question.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't even know if they do the 53 anymore. You see, they're into weird shit. And, and hey, there ain't a lot of us, okay? And that's too bad. I think now the Ronsorg in Switzerland at least has an organization. I've talked with him. He's a nice guy, and
Yeah, Max. I'll have him.
but old Max and he, Captain Bill also just did a cutoff date of 1980 because that was the last time he saw Hubbard, and so he arbitrarily cut off. But there's a lot of technology past 1980. One of the things is checking reads on flows. I mean, do you run on rating items? You shouldn't, but these are things that they don't apply. So it's like I got a little problem with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
This is why we need an association or somehow some vehicle where auditors in the field can get together, or at least be in communication. And maybe we have to wait until 2030 when church implodes and get back
yeah,
people back squared
yeah.
away. But I
But I'd say Max has probably got the best organization. He's a bit pricey, but at least he's holding the form of the org. And I guess any training is better than no training. And I think they do train the basics in. I don't know for sure, but I think they do. And um, and I honestly, I don't know who else. I know.
I hear about the Russians. The Russians are doing good with it. I'm not.
Yeah, I have talked with it. They're big into the OT thing. They're and they do have Ron's OT levels. I mean, they have Captain Bill's OT levels, and I'm I'm not exactly positive. Hey, I mean, there's a war going on, Ukraine and Russia. Hey, that hopefully that ends one of these friggin' days. But I like the Russians. I hope maybe that's where planet Earth will get saved from Scientology in Russia.
Well, they've got a lot of good things going for them. I'm a big fan, and so I told somebody a few years ago, if I could work it out, the one place I'd like to go, forget most of Europe, but I'd like to go to St. Petersburg.
Yeah,
And I would,
beautiful city.
I'd love to go to Russia.
Yeah. Hey, never too late. Hey, life begins at 80, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I agree with you. I think it's funny how you gotta go through a bad period like communism. I mean, they had 80 years of suppression. They lived through it, and they if it don't kill you, it turns you into a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well,
And
amazing turnaround. I mean, what was it, 90 or 91 when the Soviet Union collapsed? And then
yeah,
10 years for them to sort of work their way out of it. But boy, they've come back strong. I mean, they are, they're on top of it. So
I agree. It is. I think they're a great hope for the planet. Um, it's funny. You look at America. Here, L. Ron Hubbard came from America, very pro-American. Wrote his book on Dianetics, 1950. Gave the basics of ARC, the four dynamics. Found the reactive mind was the hidden cause of aberration. I mean, unbelievable discoveries. Found out that yes, the child, the fetus in the womb feel everything and hear and see and think. I've run enough of this prenatal stuff to know. I've had it run. I've run a few prenatals myself on myself, and yeah, I remember getting bumped and and feeling kind of low toned and having an upset and all this jazz. But instead of like taking America didn't take that data, they went with the psychology bullshit. They went with the woke crap of abortions and have killed probably hundreds of millions of babies that are sentient. And so this is an indictment to a society. And when societies do things like this, they are probably going to die.
Well, the situation in the world has never been this bad in my life. As far as things going in the wrong direction. My only hope, or one of my only hopes, but my main hope is what the OTs are doing and people that are doing auditing and taking charge off the collective case, so to speak.
Yes.
There's other things. I think there's, revival and awakening in a spiritual way in the world. But as far as the governments and the big tech, they're bad news.
I agree. To talk about that one point, yes, you're absolutely right. People like you and me, and I know there's others out there. I've trained a number of them. I have a number of OTs on my lines that I've trained, and every session that we do is the universe is different from there on out. So I might be sounding a little negative here, but actually I'm talking about right now on planet Earth. But in the future, I have absolute great hope that we are going into a new golden age of life and games. And I feel we are doing a very important, we're like the commandos behind the lines.
Well, exactly. I have said before to a select few, but I think the fact is that we've actually won this big contest from the beginning of before time till now, and then we lost it all. But with LRH and Book One, and then the OT levels and upper level stuff that Captain Bill developed, I feel confident that we've won. Now,
I agree with you.
We
have.
This planet could go to hell. It could get nuked tomorrow. But in the long run, we've won.
Well, this planet is probably an implant station.
Yeah. Well.
I'm saying this seriously. We haven't got rid of all the intelligence agencies. We haven't, and they constantly stir things up. Every major world religion is. It's a perfect recipe for conflict and death, and they're all programmed for conflict and death, and so. Yeah, it's like, it only took one generation in Scientology to take it down. When Hubbard left, he left his CMO, he left the Watchdog Committee. He basically had it down to 3 watchdog type things to watch that the church wouldn't do. Miscavige unlocked all that shit in the first year. and so, what a coup d'etat! And nobody.
I'm laughing because it's ridiculous, not because it's actually funny.
Nobody complained. He did it all in like 1 or 2 years. He took everything that Hubbard. It's a little bit like taking the legislative, judicial, and executive out of the Constitution, and with no checks and balances. And you see, this is always the slight problem from these top-down organizations. They can get taken over in a blink of a friggin' eye.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Scientology.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. It isn't even complex. It was a well done op. And it was, who knows how to take down governments? Well, the intelligence agencies know how to take down
They're good
governments.
at it. They're very good at that.
They're good at using religion for control. Anyways, ask me another question.
Well, we talked about the big macro scene down on the ground. Guy reads a book or hears something about Scientology, maybe sees this podcast or something on Scientolopedia, and he says, I'd like to find out more about that. What should he do? Should he get auditing from somebody? Should he read books?
Yeah, both. Absolutely. Reading books. Hey, I started out reading the books first. I mean, you can go online. You can go to eBay. Maybe you can find people are so upset with Scientology, they're selling their entire library for $5 and shit like that. Grab it. Yeah. It's a deal. And or if you have to, you can use the church books. Although I was on the ship in 2006 when and I've met Miscavige and shook his hand and all this bullshit. And he was already back in 2006 changing the books back then.
Yeah.
And in fact, he was kind of bragging about it because he was a little scared to change the books. And honestly, I think the church went completely fucking south ever since, it went south before that, but it really it's been more and more south. So yeah, read the books. Start off with the lighter books. Hell, I was just, when I took this little vacation recently, and I'm rereading '08, The Scales.
Cool. Yeah.
Amazing book. I mean, when you completely can duplicate that, you're up there.
Yeah.
Well,
what
can I say?
Spend a long vacation just on Axiom 1 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So
I agree. So yeah, and then if you buy some auditing, you can do it online. I'm sure you deliver it. I'm sure a few other people do.
Well, speaking of which, I'm gonna wrap up here, but I'm gonna put a link below for your page on Scientolopedia. Anybody wants to get in touch with you and avail themselves of some of this wonderful tech that we have. And just to ask you, as I guess in closing, so any message you have to the field or anybody that might be watching this, anything you'd like to say, you thought about?
Hey, I know I really enjoyed our interview, our talk. It got pretty free there, didn't it?
I think so.
So, they're despite, if I apologize if I sound a little negative at any point on my little tirades, but frankly, I'm incredibly positive about the future. And so as an immortal spiritual being that knows it, there is no more valuable gift than that, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's much more valuable than gold, diamonds, platinum, power. Spiritual freedom is the good thing.
Yeah, recently, or not recently, but occasionally some big celebrity, somebody that I might have admired, a guitar player or a band or whatever, and they die, right? And so they have a big event and everybody sends in their condolences and they get all this adulation. And I'm going, that's very good, but I wonder if he, I wonder if he really understood the type of things that I understand, I mean, I would rather go into that next phase, whatever, being fully me and knowing who I am and knowing where I'm going and what I want to do and how I'm going to do it, than remembering that I was a good guitar player,
Yeah.
But,
well, there's one other little quick point. A lot of people love to do an identification logic, which means like A equals A. And one thing equals another, and which is the lowest level of logic. It's reactive logic, okay? And they often love to say, well, Hubbard knew Crawley, knew Parsons, because he knew Parsons' Scientology is a devil worship thing and blah, blah, blah. Absolute bullshit. Even in the church, I never saw any of this shit. So that is absolutely third-party lie. And as you go further up spiritually, you never have to sell your friggin' soul for spiritual freedom. You do have to know how to audit, though. You do have to know your basics. You do have to handle the reactive mind. You do not have to do. You don't have to do all these weird aberrations, which seem like, my God, this is insane. So I'm just putting it out there because that's all. It's like this big undercurrent. Oh, the undercurrents, Scientology. They've tried to be. I mean, he gives all the data in the books if you're smart enough to fucking duplicate it. But most people are dumb, so they think they got to go way, way up to get to the truth. They can't even confront the definition of an engram.
Good point.
So that is the. I guess I'm just kind of throwing that out because it always kind of irritates me. There's always this innuendo, and it's a frigging lie.
Yeah, they they love to come up with all kinds of wild stuff about LRH, the meter, Scientology, brainwashing, blah blah blah, hypnotism.
That's all.
We've heard
it's all third party. It's what the psychologists and psychiatrists do. I mean, it's what the devil worshiper crowd does. I mean, there isn't any of that shit in standard Scientology. I'm just putting it for the record.
Yeah.
And just to get it, just to say it, like, hey, this guy's out of the church. He says the church kind of sucks. They got taken over. It's like, but he's just talking plain Scientology and none of that crap.
Right.
Did I ever see? I audited a lot of people that did shit prior. That, no kidding, you were in a casket and screwed your sister. Wow, that's a wild one. Oh yeah, but he was in a devil cult. He was and just because he was a high level in California politics don't mean shit. I mean, but these are the kind of people that you actually audit inside as an auditor. You hear like, whoa, I never thought of stuff like that. And but hey, I tell you, you get your eyes opened up pretty quick as an auditor.
Yeah, well said on all that, and I'd love to have you come back again sometime. Just take another hour and blast the hell out of all these lies and misconceptions. And
that'd be fun.
Listening to you, it's obvious that Scientology is legit, and I'm sure that people watching this get that. So thanks again, Jim. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and guys, there'll be a link to Jim's webpage on Scientolopedia below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that. The algorithm that are our masters now, they like all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up with a little music and just get on out of here. So thanks again, Jim. We'll
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jim, again for being willing to sit and talk for a bit. Very informative, and I'm sure that we'll want to have you back again. And thank you all for tuning in. This is Dave LaCroix for Scientolopedia and the Voice of Scientology. Help us out. Subscribe, follow, throw in some pesos. This effort needs some support. So if you like it, help us out here. Anyway, you all take care. We'll be back soon with another interview, more interviews. If you have anybody you think of who you think should be interviewed on this channel, then let me get in touch. But otherwise, just stay tuned. We'll have some more coming your way soon. All right, take care.